this car worth $380,000? Well, some of you are saying, of course it is, it's a BMW. But some of you are saying, nah, that's a lot of money. I need to see what you got. Well, now that the new BMW iX3 is here in Singapore, I'm gonna get up close with the car. I'm gonna poke around the inside and I will show you the local spec. I'm gonna show you what you get for your $380,000. But this is the iX3 50 xDrive M Sport, and if 380k feels a bit rich to you, there is a cheaper one coming, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video so I can tell you about that one. Now you're going to hear Neue Klasse this and Neue Klasse that when it comes to this car, and there's only two things you need to know about that. Number one, nearly 70 years ago, BMW almost pokai and they were that close to being bought over by Mercedes. But then they launched a car called the Neue Klasse or New Class, and they had new engines, a new platform, and they went into a new product category, and what do you know? It totally saved the company. Number two, a similar thing is happening here. This is an all-new technology platform. It's got that whole like, let's transform ourselves kind of hopes and dreams. So this is the Neue Klasse NA5. So this is a pure electric car and there is all new hardware underneath here. BMW says it is its 6th generation eDrive technology, and that's what I want to talk about today, but I don't want to just give you the specs, otherwise it's going to look like this. The BMW iX3 50 has a dual motor setup for all-wheel drive with a peak horsepower of 469 and 645 Newton meters of torque. It'll do the Century Sprint in 4.9 seconds with a top speed of 210 kilometers an hour. What's more interesting is that all the technology underneath here is going to underpin all the future BMWs, so it had better be good or BMW is well and truly for now. I think this is pretty cutting edge. The battery is a huge 108.7 kilowatt hours, and that's enough for a range of 805 kilometers WLTP. Now, one reason for that is something I can show you with two props, one from my kitchen and one from my bedroom. So most electric car batteries are like this. They're kind of this boxy shape over here, but the batteries in this car are shaped like this can over here. So when you pack them in, they don't actually have that much pressure around them. They don't bend and flex like they would here. So that means you can make the casings a little bit thinner. And also, each individual cell is 20% more energy dense than the ones before, and that's partially thanks to the nickel manganese cobalt chemistry, which is why this is one of the very few EVs that will take you from here to Penang without having to stop for a charge or to eat horrible highway food along the way. Nope, you can drive this straight from here to your favorite char kway teow stall. Yeah, say char kway teow more. So I have a hot take. Singaporeans don't actually buy cars for their own enjoyment, they buy cars to impress other people. That's why they're always obsessing about resale value, right? They're always thinking about the next guy. And this is why brands like BMW and Mercedes sell so well here, because when you buy one, you definitely want all your ex-girlfriends to see you in one. Oh, hey Kobe. So to see if the iX3 will impress other people, I'm going to climb into the back, because chances are when you give someone a lift in your all-new car for the first time, this is where they're going to be forming their first impression. Okay guys, this car's wheelbase is 2897 millimeters, and that's why I've got so much space back here. I mean, I'm 1.75 meters tall. This is my driving position, and I'm not short of knee room or headroom. In fact, the iX3 has as much room back here as the current X5. So yeah, not lacking in terms of space, but in terms of amenities, I'm pretty well catered to as well. I've of course got USB charging ports. I do have 3-zone climate control, so I have my own temperature settings back here, which is nice. I even have kind of a cradle here for my young ones, if I had young ones that I knew about, to mount a phone or maybe a tablet so that they'll be entertained on long journeys. But I have to say, that is pretty much it. I of course have a fold-down armrest over here, but I'm thinking that this is where the iX3 probably feels the cheapest. So let's try the old fingernails of quality. And let's have a poke around. This actually doesn't sound or feel too bad. I have to say, okay, that doesn't feel particularly premium. So I think it's just about where you could get away with things, but it doesn't certainly feel luxurious back here. And have a look at this, there are no map pockets over here. Someone at BMW obviously decided that these aren't really necessary. And I think that this is the Neue Klasse way. It is all about minimalism and seeing how much you can subtract from a car. But I have to say, once you take that too far and you get carried away and you take away too many things, well then you run the risk of crossing over into cheapness. But what I really want to complain about is this glass roof over here. Yes, it looks really nice. Yes, it allows light to flood into the cabin, but I guarantee you on a very hot day in Singapore, you're going to be cussing the guys at BMW who decided not to equip this car with a roller sunshade. The good news is that here in Singapore, there is an accessory sort of sunshade that you can clip into place, and that's going to come standard with the car, which is a very good idea. Otherwise, I think this is so egregious that you can use this as a way to assess motoring journalists here. Some of us are going to complain bitterly about this madness, and those of us who don't, well, you should be able to see right through us. Hey! Okay, let's talk design now. I already have a walk around video with this car, plus I've driven it for a review, but I want to tell you that here in Singapore, the new iX3 comes with the M Sport package as standard. That means it comes with the M aerodynamics package. So this panel is kind of glossy black, and so is this. So if this car were kind of, I don't know, fuchsia or purple, these would still be shiny black. You also get this M high gloss shadow line, plus these 21-inch M aerodynamic wheels, and behind them there are M brake calipers or M Sport brake calipers. You can't actually see them, but if you could see them clearly one day, well, that means you've done something terrible. Now for the rest of the car, I'm sure if you noticed that instead of chrome kidney grills, you've got these lights over here, and they are more vertically oriented. That's for the BMW SUVs, because SUVs are more vertical in shape, right? If you've seen the new i3, that's got more horizontal treatment. And you've got these slashes over here replacing the famous double lamp shape. And then you've got the BMW badge, which is nestled over here. But I think this is quite interesting because if you covered up this, you could definitely tell that this is a BMW. And what do we have here? Something every EV owner looks for, a frunk. And it is 58 litres, which is not huge, but just looking at it now, I think there is room for one roast chicken, probably a roast duck as well, and a suckling pig. So, well, it's not huge, but it is there. You know, many people find me mildly annoying before they even get to know me, but you know, once they get to hang out with me more and get to know me better, then they find me supremely annoying. But I want to give you the chance to get to know me better, so if you find this video remotely entertaining or informative, then please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, and it will make me feel a lot better. I mean, it will make you feel a lot better. Trust me on that. Also, if you want to test drive the new iX3 in a hassle-free and VIP way, click that WhatsApp link on the screen now, and my team and I will be happy to sort that out for you. One-click test drives, that's what I do. Right, in terms of layout, I think you can see that it is actually very stripped down and bare up front, and it's entirely by design. There are no physical switches, or very few physical switches, just a cluster over here. Most of the things are controlled on this screen over here, including the aircon vents, which are now digitally adjusted, so minus 1 million points for that. Otherwise, there is some storage to show you. We've got, I guess, a passable amount. You've got a pad here for 2 phones, cup holders. This isn't actually very huge, but you do have a little bit of storage space between the front seats. In Singapore, the cars are actually decently equipped. I think you get things like power seats, of course, with the adjustable wing bolsters, but more than that, I want to show you that you also have massage chairs. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's going to be nice. And you do have this sort of anthracite headliner over here that comes as part of the M Sport package. In front here, it does seem slightly better built in the rear in terms of quality, so you do get some soft plastics as well as some hard ones. Some people don't like these fabrics over here, but I think they actually look quite nice. But overall, yeah, I think that if you go back 10 years, you're going to find that the BMWs from back then were a little bit more solidly built. But were they as modern? Well, let's go into the BMW panoramic iDrive system, and let's get a terminology right, because it actually comprises 4 main elements. The first one is the steering wheel with what BMW calls shy technology. So there are sort of buttons over here that are called shy because when the function that they control is not available, they don't actually light up, so you're not actually tempted to use them. And the reason they have this here is that BMW does want you to keep your hands on the wheel as much as possible and your eyes on the road. The second element is a 3D head-up display. You can't really see it here, can't really show it to you. Don't really know why they call it 3D, but it is a working head-up display. Now the third element is this kind of free-cut 17.9-inch display. And well, you know what? This does look a bit strange in photos sometimes, but I have no problems with it because it looks good. It is very snappy, and it actually is very customizable as well, and it's ergonomic too. So the reason they cant it towards you like this is because, well, just look at key functions. They're actually not very far away from the steering wheel over here. So yeah, I really like this, and this works hand in hand with the panoramic vision display. So that is 1.1 meters wide and 5 cm high, and it's not actually a display, it's actually a reflection of a display that's horizontal here, but it looks gorgeous, it is very customizable, and it has a lot of depth. I actually have a video where me and a BMW expert kind of go through the whole system, and she uses it like a total pro. She explains beautifully why they've done it this way and thinking that goes behind it, so I highly recommend that you watch that video. But to me, it works really well, because if you have 50-year-old eyes like I do, well, sometimes the displays don't look so sharp when they're near you like this. That actually solves that problem, and they are actually very, very bright and very clear when it's bright outside. So yeah, that is a big jump forward, and to me, that system is one way you can tell that this is a very new way of doing things from BMW. It is the most Neue Klasse part of the car when it comes to the interior. This being an EV, you definitely want to know about the charging speed and how high it gets, right? Well, if you use the AC charging port over here, then the maximum rate is 22 kilowatts.
Boring.
Yeah, I know, even a Toyota BZ4X can manage that nowadays, but if you use this, then it'll take you only 5 hours and 45 minutes to go from 0 to 100. But if you use this DC bad boy over here, then you better believe there will be some serious electron flow, because the maximum charging speed is 400 kilowatts. And yes, you can get chargers that fast in Singapore now, as well as along the North-South Highway between here and Kuala Lumpur. So if you use that, then you should be able to push in enough energy to get the battery from 10 to 80% in just 21 minutes. But more to the point, if conditions are perfect, you can get 372 kilometers into the car in just 10 minutes. So gasoline, I think your days are numbered. By the way, I didn't forget to film the boot, I just didn't have time, but if you want numbers, you'll find 520 liters back here. If you drop the rear seats, which you can't actually do from the boot itself, you'll have 1,750 liters, which I think is pretty big. This is the iX3 50, right? And who buys the 50? Well, basically rich people and early adopters, because the road tax bill for this baby alone is going to be 5,166 a year, every year. Well, most of us are going to want something more affordable. So what comes after 50? Well, BMW has already announced an iX3 40, and yes, that is coming to Singapore later in the year. That is single motor rear-wheel drive with 320 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. It's still pretty quick though, 0 to 100 is 5.9 seconds. It does have a smaller battery, 82.6 kilowatt hours, but the range is still pretty good, 636 kilometers. It's also an 800 volt battery, so it does support fast charging, but the maximum rate there is 300 kilowatts, and that will allow you to push 300 kilometers into the battery in just 10 minutes. The price? Well, this is pure speculation, but I think it's going to land at roughly 350,000 plus minus, and the road tax is going to be around $3,200 a year. So yeah, whatever it is, I bet you're going to see a lot more iX3 40s than iX3 50s here. So is this car worth $380,000? Well, if you look at the interior and how bare it is, I think some of you are going to think the answer is no. But when it comes to technology, I think the answer is yes. The range, the charging speed, the performance are all top tier. And yes, I have driven it, they let me drive it on the track, and it does drive like a BMW. In fact, the iX3 50 is quicker than some of the BMWs I used to hero worship as a boy. But I do have some advice if you do buy this and people are rude enough to question your choice. Like the British royalties say, never explain, never apologize. Just enjoy the drive.